Hello, my name is Mason. I am 20 years old. Some years are too long for my beloved brother Mateo. We were born together, live together, share with each other about what we have together overcome, the horrors that God gives. But then we were apart when in the hope of changing our life. Children who are bad will be taught by adults with horrified things which are not real. They will be afraid to be obedient. The case of both of us is different. We created such a fear for my parents. They suffered a deep psychological wound when they witnessed the appearance of us when at birth, starting from our godfather. He was burst out scared of my brother. Mateo was born dragging my head soon after. Mateo and I were full of parts. We were healthy, but stick together with the head had over part. Our brains were stuck together. Simply saying, we shared each other, but the large part of our brain shown that we may have our own thoughts. My parents were psychologically prepared by the doctors to accept this, even though my mother still fainted in pain. Frankly to say, my mother fainted twice. The first time was due to a long birth-giving shift. The next one was by our brothers. My family was really worried. They went to the doctors to find solutions. Shaking heads answered dozens of questions. Danger, risks, and horror image are all linked to when they take care of us. We are truly grateful that they tried to accept this unfortunate. Mind even feeling haunting presence in this family. Our lives are difficulties. We learn to sit hard. Think about how we should sit. Sitting back against each other will cause us a double fracture of the head, while sitting sideways will make our necks twisted. Of course, the neck is not as important as the head. When we were kids, Mateo was stronger than me. He used a lot of force in his neck. He was the one who pulled me up while I was lazy with it. As a result, Mateo's head was skewed more, while my neck was longer than normal and still twisted. Identifying things was also difficult. Previously, we used to look at things from the bottom up, but now we rotate everything along. The brain always had to analyze whether what we are observing is right or lying. It seemed tired, and so we fainted often. Mateo showed me a simpler way to solve things. We will take turns doing each of the thing the brain wants in order. Mateo was right. From then on, I always believed and did what he wanted. We did not even need the mouth and tongue to tell each other, just one thought with the nerves connected. Thanks to this, we learned how to discuss and agree very easily. We are different. Each of us has our own hobby. It shows clearly when we grow up. Mateo likes to read while I enjoy sports. It was great that we could share it with each other. Can you imagine? I weightlifting and working out while Mateo reads a book? It was such an exciting experience that you will never be able to try. I am more knowledgeable about some areas that I do not care about thanks to Mateo. Likes to eat meat too. He is so gourmet. I cannot feel the taste of those things. I find it gory and smelly. Mateo laughed at me when I ate vegetables. He often laughed at me that I was like a horse that only ate grass to create muscles. I laughed at him like a demon that eats people just to satisfy his hungry stomach. When we went to school, everything was fine. Of course, it was not as good as at home. I went to school just because Mateo liked it that way. He said everyone could go to school if they wanted to. He also convinced me that we were smarter than those kids because our brains were bigger. I found it interesting. As expected, the other kids did not dare to tease us because we had two people. Mateo quarrels well, while I have the strength. We had to fight against those pretty people. He always wanted to separate our bodies, while I did not pay much attention to that matter. With this power, I would break the skulls of those who dared to say bad things in order to cling to the difficult situation we were in. But Mateo's thoughts show me that he really wants a new life. We can share everything, but we cannot share a wife in the future. We have our own thoughts and hobbies, so the future will lead to different purposes. Moreover, he hated to put up with everyone's discriminating gaze. It was so tired that we tried to do everything well in various ways, but the result was only one. They still isolated us. Mateo could not stand with this. For him, either to be split in half or half. It all made him so engrossed in reading. He found information about people like us. There are up to 50 cases of babies born with stick skulls, brains, and blood vessels every year, of which only 15 cases survive the first month of birth. He convinced me that we were stronger than the others, and we were able to make it through this surgery. There have been many successful cases of brain splitting. Medicine even thought of a human head transplant. I was not convinced of those words, but his will made me subdued. I agreed to give us a chance. A few years after we turned 18, we decided to perform that important surgery. Mateo was very scared. While his determination to perform the surgery in him was always screaming, Mateo was under pressure. He was confused with his thoughts. He said there was only one way to deal with his fear, that life would be brought me if the situation was worse. There are things in his mind, but not sure if it is true. I have been thinking about it for a while now, but I have to believe it because it came from his mouth. I was crazy when he said that. I agreed to perform the surgery so that I and Mateo must fight for life now? I objected, and the plan was postponed. Over the next 2 years, he convinced me a lot more. He analyzed that he only said that to ease his fear, that he was not as strong as me, so he needed an excuse to perform this dangerous surgery. He was scared, but we must do it. He longed for the freedom and normal appearance like many people. He does not love sports. He does not have a muscular body and a healthy body like me. But his will is much stronger than me. I was shaken by that will, and I also hated this fate, which made my brother choose. I believed him once again like I have ever done before. We walked up to the operating table at the age of 20. The light and sleeping pills made us forget our fears, and we faded away in the desire to redo our life. The surgery lasted more than a day, and I woke up after a week of losing consciousness. The head was softer than usual, but it did not seem right. I did not see Mateo. He was supposed to be by my side now. The bed next to him should have his shape. I noticed my head was longer than usual. I started to go crazy. Why is my head so long? If my head is that long, what will my brother do? Crazy thoughts like to jump out of the skull and pierce through the rigid white tape. Everyone looked at me as happy but helpless. They explained to me that Mateo was gone. The surgery was unsuccessful because his health did not allow him to suffer pain and blood loss for a long time, and the separation and transplantation of the nerve were also unfavorable. In an emergency, the brain was transferred to me because my body was healthy. I froze. He left me alone with a part of his body. I was such a stupid idiot. I should not have accepted this bad surgery. Mateo would have been alive without my consent. Mateo was so unfortunate. This precious life should have been given to him. He was hoping to live and rebuild his life. Until now, I still have to get acquainted with my newly operated body. I have to live and adjust to this life again without Mateo by my side. Life has never been easy for us. Fate did not give us a normal situation. We can only use this small life against each other only. In that fight, Mateo was gone, but I was saved. Now my life will be his too. With the hat on my head, I am confident to give him the life he longed for.